Hello! This week on When I Was a Child, we have with us the one and only Dorothy Gale. When she was a child, Dorothy was transported to the magical land of Oz. It's a pleasure to have you here today, Dorothy.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Can you tell us how it all started?
I was living in Kansas with my aunt and uncle when all of a sudden a tornado came and it picked up the house with Toto and I while we were still inside. But when the house came down again, I found we weren't in Kansas anymore, but we had actually landed in a place called Oz.
So tell us what it was like, this magical land of Oz.
It was breathtaking. There was beautiful green grass and flowers and all different beautiful trees and things. And the people were peculiar, though. They were fully grown, but they were no taller than I was. Maybe even like half my size. And they called me a sorceress, which I didn't understand at the time, because when I had landed in the house had landed on the Wicked Witch of the East. I hadn't meant to kill her, but it was an accident. It was then that the Good Witch of the North came, and she told me all about this strange land and how I was trapped here. And, but all I wanted was to get home. And she told me how. She told me to go to the wizard, who lived in Emerald City, and she gave me the shoes that the Wicked Witch of the East was wearing, which were silver shoes, and then sent me on my way.
I understand that you met some fairly interesting characters on your way to the wizard. Could you tell us a little about them?
Oh, yes. At first I met the Scarecrow, who was tied to a post. After I loosened him, he came down and we started walking on. He said that he wanted to join me because he wanted a brain, and that maybe the wizard could help him. And so then, on our way, we met the Tin Man, who had rusted, and after we had unrusted him, he said that he wanted to join our quest also because he wanted a heart. And then, after walking for a while, we met up with a lion, who turned out to be actually a coward, and he wanted to come with us also to gain courage.
So what happened when you finally reached the Emerald City?
And we requested an audience with the wizard, and he told us that we had to wait until the next day. So I went in first to see him, and it scared me to death. There was a giant head floating there, and oh my goodness, it scared me. And he told me that the only way I could get home was to kill the Wicked Witch of the West. And then I left. And then the others got to see him in the following days. They could only see him once a day. And so they were all told the same thing, which made me very discouraged.
So how did you find the Wicked Witch?
The wizard sent us after the Wicked Witch, but we didn't walk very far because she found us. And she sent her flying monkeys, and they tore apart the Scarecrow and the Tin Man, and then carried me, Toto, and the lion back to her castle, where she enslaved us and made us work for her. One day, she made me trip because she wanted the silver shoes, and one of them came off. So she took it and didn't give it back. Well, I got upset and threw a bucket of water on her, and she started melting.
What happened after the witch had melted?
After she had finished melting, I freed the lion, and then we had the Winkies, who were the people that were also enslaved to her. They helped us put the Tin Man and the Scarecrow back together. And helped us get the flying monkeys and carry us back to the Emerald City.
You got quite a shock when you returned to the Emerald City to see the wizard again, didn't you?
Oh yes, we were very surprised indeed, because it turns out that the wizard was a fake. He was just a normal man that could do simple magic tricks.
But the wizard told you that he still might be able to get you home, didn't he? And he also gave your friends what they were looking for, right?
Yes, he gave my friends what they needed, but actually it turns out that they already had it. And he told me that we were going to go back to Kansas the same way that he got to Oz, which was in a hot air balloon. But by accident, he took off without me, and so I had to go find Glinda, the Good Witch of the South.
So Glinda had the power to return you to Kansas?
Actually, I returned myself home, because it turns out that the magical shoes could help me get home. All I had to do was click my heels 3 times, and then tell them where to take me, and they took me right back to Kansas after saying goodbye to my friends. But I was so happy to be back in Kansas again.
We're all glad that you made it back as well. Well, that's all the time we have this week, folks, but be sure to join us next week when we talk to Harry Potter, the Boy Who Lived.